Okay, hi everyone. So today we have one of the legends of accounting, Mr. Jamil Khatri, sir. So Jamil is an Indian chartered accountant and a US CPA with over 27 years of experience in the consulting and assurance industry, serving clients in India, the UK, and the US. He has deep experience in US listing and as a leader of the US GAAP and SEC practice for KPMG has assisted several large Indian companies in complying with US listing regulations as they raise capital from the US markets. Jamil pioneered the accounting advisory industries in India and built a market leading practice advising clients on accounting, reporting, governance, and finance function matters. He subsequently assumed responsibility as the global head of KPMG's accounting advisory services, a US $1 billion practice with 4,000 plus consultants. In his last stint before co-founding Unicus, he led the assurance practice of KPMG to a market-leading position and served on the leadership team of KPMG India, where he also led the inclusion, diversity, and equity agenda. Jamil has served on various industry and regulatory committees and has been featured as a top 40 business leaders under the age of 40 by Spencer Stuart and the Economic Times. He was also selected as one of the three leaders of tomorrow in business for a special feature by India Today, a leading Indian publication. I mean, this is absolutely amazing. And all the students who are watching you, Jamil sir, from Simandhar Education, we have over a base of 10,000 students registered with us today, right? So, and even on YouTube, so we are live. And I think they are extremely fortunate, including me, to have you on this. I know that you have been very, very humble enough to accept our request. And the biggest question for them is how you became partner at the age of 28, and that mystery needs to be solved as soon as possible. Over to you, Jamil sir.
No, thank you, Sripal. So first of all, thank you very for the very kind introduction, and really very great to be here with the Simandhar team and with people. In terms of format, Sripal, is this are we going to have some Q&A at some stage as well, or what were you thinking?
Yes, Jamil sir. So after our interview ends, because many of the students requested they wanted to have some questions, so I just thought that okay, they can
Yo,
also
that'll be
provide.
great. No, that'll be great. The reason I ask is I love to interact with people, and so would love an opportunity to talk to as many people as possible, answer as many questions. I think in terms of the your first question around the mystery, actually, I actually never looked at it like that. I never when I joined. I'm a Indian chartered accountant, a US CPA, as Shripal you pointed out. I joined as a trainee when KPMG BSR started in India. I joined in 1995. And at that stage, my singular objective was actually just to do good work and apply myself to whatever came my way. I was very fortunate. I started off in financial services, doing audit work on banks. But then very early on, I actually realized that sooner than later, India will move towards international reporting and governance norms. And that's really when I started practicing US GAAP in the mid 1990s. Now, at that stage, it was very, kind of intriguing for a lot of people why anybody want to do US GAAP. And again, I was very fortunate. I had a very senior leader from the US who was in India who helped me understand the practical nuances of what really US GAAP meant. So I did that I did that for a number of years. I was very fortunate to be involved with most of the Indian companies who listed in the American market. So I worked with Wipro very closely. I worked with ICICI very closely, with Dr. Reddy's very closely. Worked with Genpact very closely when they listed, and then ultimately I ended up heading that business for KPMG. And I think the important thing, linking it back to what do I attribute, my growth in KPMG. I think it was one about applying yourself to what you did, looking for trends as they kind of came up. The US gap and the whole US listing market being one. Finding the right mentors. I was very fortunate to have the right mentors very early on in my career. And then taking more and more responsibility. So did that taking different opportunity that came my way. So I remember in toward the late 90s, my mentor at that time, a very fine leader called Bala Swaminathan, called me one evening and said, Jamil, we have to go to Bangalore. And I said, okay, we'll go to Bangalore. And now, normally when somebody calls you, you basically said, okay, how many days should I pack for? He said, no, 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 we're going forever. And so it took me a while to understand. I spoke to my family that evening, and I relocated to Bangalore. And I think that was one of the best decisions I made. There was a situation where we had to go and build a practice in Bangalore. There was a special situation there. Great experience. And I think the point I wanted to highlight is sometimes it's important to trust people who then guide you the right way, which happened in my case. I also at some stage I realized when I was not entirely enjoying auditing, I actually then again engaged with my leaders, set up accounting advisory, became an entrepreneur within a large organization. Had the trust of 7 people who at that stage perhaps did not know what they were getting into, but knew it would be a joyride. So was willing to take the risk that came with moving to start up something within a big organization as compared to leading a big unit. Took up a global role, amazing cultural experience, again very challenging because you have to deal with new ways of doing things. And then was kind of, frankly, I had the opportunity to come back to audit and lead audit again. And again, that happened quite well for the right reasons. So I think I would, if I had to pick a few things to highlight, one would be making sure that you make the most out of all the experiences that come your way, applying yourself thoroughly to kind of what comes your way. Be willing to learn, be willing to take the risk, being patient with the outcome, finding the right mentors to kind of guide you, and enjoying yourself along the way. I honestly don't even remember when I made partner actually. So a lot of people remind me that I was 28 at that stage. If you ask me which year did I qualify as a chartered accountant, I'll always remember that very distinctly in 1996. Even today, when people ask me which year I made partner, I sometimes pause and I say, yeah, I think it was 2003, and then I realized that I was 28 at that age. Yeah, so a bit of a long-winded answer, Shripal, but maybe just to give the viewers a perspective of what my journey has been and how I landed up being a partner at 28.
So were you all India ranker also, Jamil sir, in chartered accountancy? Or because see, why I'm asking this question is a lot of students think that okay, if he's an all India ranker or if he's a topper, so there are more chances that he progresses faster in big fours and all other stuff. So did you? So just wanted to go into the academic because I know in your one pager it is not there.
Yeah.
So how was your academic thing in CA? So were you a ranker or as well in chartered accountancy?
Yeah, I actually, so first, before I answer that question, I think it doesn't matter actually. I have seen this and I've led many businesses. I founded businesses, built businesses. I think things like a rank can help you to get started. It can rightfully, for the right reasons, highlight and show your potential because it's a reflection of both your intelligence as well as the effort you have put in. But I know amazingly successful people. I won't name this business leader. Actually, he is one of the most iconic business leaders in the country. A true kind of a mentor to me. And he always said that he first went and did his UK CA because he felt it was easier to do it as compared to doing Indian chartered accountancy. And he went on to become the iconic leader and inspiration that he is to many of us. So I think while it matters at some stage, beyond a point, there are a bunch of other factors that kick in. The shorter answer is yes, I ranked. I ranked actually all three. I ranked foundation, I ranked inter, I ranked final. But to me, again, that is kind of symbolic of the effort I put in and not necessarily some God gift that I had, Shripa.
Exactly. I mean, we have seen a lot of all India rankers in chartered accountancy, but not making that impact what we normally see from everyone. Jamil sir, going to a partner level, there are a lot of things. I have seen that many of the students when they join, so we have been placing a lot of them in big fours and all, but the rigorous work culture, including me, I was an ex-EY. So I've seen that we spent around 15 to 16 hours. Let us be very clear, and I just want to be very transparent and honest when I'm talking in front of you. So we have seen many of us slogging late nights and all. So how did you kind of manage all those stuff and come to the partner level? That patience, that late night sitting and all those stuff. So how did you manage that work pressure? And then you have done a CPA also along after CA. That itself is another qualification. So how did you manage all this stuff?
Yeah. So, three things. First of all, I think the one important part is that you need to enjoy what you're doing. See, if you enjoy what you're doing, a lot of effort does not look that onerous. And in my case, I really thoroughly enjoyed doing what I was doing through this stint. Second is learning. See, I'm a huge believer in learning. If you learn, if you keep on learning, I think the efforts, and again, I don't want to I don't want to kind of belittle the fact that there's a lot of effort, but the same effort can look very daunting and very tiring, and the same effort can result in a lot of fulfillment if you really approach it the right way. So for me, I really enjoy learning, and I learned along the way. I was very fortunate to have a very good ecosystem around me. So my wife, my family, I think all of them played a super important role. I mentioned my mentors, within KPMG, who had the ability to understand what my life situation may have been, where I needed to, kind of be given a break, where I needed to do what I had to do. And then finally, most importantly, it's your own balance. Balance comes from within. You need to know what you can take and what you cannot take. Just as an example, and this I've said this publicly, so I was very kind of rigid about taking weekends off. Actually, very early on my career, I said I'm okay working the 16 hours that you mentioned, but if I need time off as well, and I actually was very religious. One of the things I realized is that. uh, when you are clear about what you want, people tend to kind of understand, and they tend to kind of respect that. Sometimes people bother each other, at least, and I've seen that more in our country, without even realizing that they're intruding into personal space of people. So I think it's important to lay the boundaries, and important to lay down what will help you to play this game for a 20, 30, 40-year period rather than burning out. I think I did that reasonably well. And just one other kind of counterpoint I want to make, for everybody who says that, look, kind of taking the weekend off, is that good? Not good. I also want to highlight that through the week, therefore, I manage my time most effectively. Thankfully for me, there wasn't a lot of distraction. There wasn't Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, LinkedIn, to kind of digress, and therefore, actually, my entire day was with colleagues, contributing to the work that I was doing. So I think it's a combination of that. Ultimately, you need to find the right balance for yourself.
So I think to take away from this, the people who are watching us, passion is very, very important. That is the first point which Jamil sir have spoken about. And second is definitely learning. I've seen a lot of people who pass CPA, CA and all, and then they don't learn. They think that they have passed and that's it. But I think this is very important, is to continuously learn on a daily basis. And that is the second most important quality which Jamil sir has highlighted. Third is very important, is not to consider your happiness as, okay, 5 days I will work and Saturday and Sunday I'll enjoy, right? I think that is not a right definition of happiness. I think it has to be throughout the week. That means technically you are doing something which you don't enjoy, right? So 5 days you are not enjoying and 2 days you are enjoying, so you have differentiated both. And that's what I interpret from Jamil sir, is that you need to enjoy whatever you are doing on whatever day it is and whatever time it is. Amazing three answers, sir. Fourth important thing is networking. Now, in a simple point, if I have joined in as an executive in a big four or at Unicus also, how do you see, what are the practical points? These are 5, 6 things they should do in order to grow to a partner level. What are those 5, 6 points that these are the must points they
Yeah,
must do in order to go to that level?
yeah. So I think first of all, you should be willing to put in the hard work and effort. There is no substitute for hard work and effort. So you should be willing to do that. Second is a positive attitude. I used to say, very publicly, and particularly for friends who are from North India, there is, there's a word that people in North India use, rondu. Rondu are people who always crave about something, right? Don't be a rondu. I used to tell people, don't be a rondu. Always have a positive, attitude about what you're going to do. Third is, take more and more responsibility. There is this saying, Sripal, you would be familiar, everybody would be familiar with this saying, which says, with great power comes great responsibility. I actually often feel it is equally the other way around. The more responsibility you take, the more power you get, actually. So I think responsibility leads to power as well. So take more and more responsibility. The fourth is actually the point you made. Get to know as many people as possible. Network with people. Seek help. Early on in the conversation, I made the point about mentors. Now, mentors are not just sitting there, waiting for you. Actually, so they're not coming to you. You need to ask for help. You need to build that relationship and build that network. You need to know how to help other people so that they will help you. In turn. Fifth, maybe look out for some trends which will help you to differentiate from the others. So in my case, there were different kind of points. I saw the wave on US GAAP, US listings. I saw the wave on IFRS, international reporting. I saw the wave for independent accounting advice. Look out for those waves. So today, for all the students, I mean, there is an amazing amount of change happening in the world, whether it is technology, technology within finance itself, whether it is new technologies like blockchain, whether it is the whole world of sustainability and everything around sustainable finance. I think there's an amazing amount of new things that are opening up. So look out for what are those trends, the emerging trends that are kind of coming up. And finally, I would just add to say, be balanced in all of this. See, I have never approached my career to say, I want to be a partner at 28. I want to lead a business by 2029. I want to do this by 34. You'll only be disappointed because it won't happen. I think you just need to put in the effort. You need to have a plan in play, do some of the basic things that I kind of talked about, and yeah, and then things should fall in place.
So I think six very powerful points. Definitely, I think these are very, very crucial to kind of grow to that partner level. In that 6 points, one very beautiful point which I have noticed is to look out for the trends. Now, Jamil said this cannot be possible without having mentors like you, or even if they are in the big four, someone should come and tell that this is a future of our profession, right? So either they go into the conferences, forums, or attend such webinars where you are there and all. Within the firm also, they want to approach the mentors. Is there any practical example how we can approach them? So can we directly ping them? Like various people here are very, very nervous how to approach the leaders. Can they directly ping them? If I want to approach the EY partner today, so can I ping them on like that, or should I email? What should be the protocol to approach? Can I break the hierarchy? Instead of going to my manager, can I directly go to a leader? Is it right? Is it wrong? I mean, this is very confusing. So how do we kind of
Sure.
find out that
Yeah.
what is the right way to approach these people?
Yeah, I think it's a very, very good and a very nuanced question. So, first of all, a lot of it, before you even seek out mentors for trends, I think you should do a lot of reading. Actually, I really feel people are not reading enough, and people are not reading broad enough. I think people should really inculcate a habit of reading, and because that knowledge will help you to identify, to have, how do you have meaningful conversation with people. So let's assume, even if you get time with somebody you want, how do you make the most out of your time? That will only happen if you're knowledgeable, if you're able to bring something to the table, right? So I think the first part is that. Into your specific question on how do you do it, so I'm not a big fan of people randomly reaching out to people. Actually, I think that's seldom, kind of, because successful people, once again, are not sitting kind of. It's not because they don't want to, but they have just 3 million things to do. So I don't think anybody will do that. I think what's important is, whenever you are working with somebody, just figure out how you can make an impact on that person so that they notice who you are, what you are doing, right? Once that is said, then it is a lot easier for you to have a conversation. It could be at an event, it could be at some gathering where you strike up a conversation, build the rapport, and then kind of build on top of that. Because what you don't also want to do, if you don't want, unless you have a very, very specific point to ask somebody, and you feel it's your, so for example, a very dear colleague, he works with a big four organization, had a big kind of career question to be asked, was not confident that that question could be answered by his immediately partners and leaders. And he wanted to engage with the CEO of that organization. And he did that. And that was very fruitful because it was in the context of something. And that helped him to establish the credibility and rapport, right? So each situation is different, but the first starting point is being clear about what do you want through those interactions. We kind of find out how you can make an impact, whenever you get an opportunity, and then build on top of that. That might be a good way of doing it, Shiva.
Jamil sir, you spoke about passion. Now there are a lot of people here. I would say 95% of the people don't know what is their passion. To be honest, this is very underrated
Yeah.
thing as such, at least. So how do I know what is my passion? So am I interested in audit or am I interested in tax? So what made Jamil to select audit first and then move to advisory? So passion, does it evolve over the time, or were you very clear when you joined that okay, this is where I want to go in, or audit is that place I want to make my career? So how should a student, how should a professional understand that this is the area which they like the most?
Yeah, I think my first advice is that I think don't assume you know everything. Nobody knows what their passion is on day one. Anybody who tells me that I only want to do this, honestly, they haven't applied deep thought. I don't think they've applied very deep thought to this. So my first recommendation would be before you decide, make sure you'd applied your mind. See, any decision which is taken after some deliberate thinking of the pros and cons will not just get you to the right answer or a better answer, but actually it'll get your own buy-in. You'll feel more motivated to pursue because you would have thought through various things. So the first thing to do is apply mind before you choose. Second is be flexible. Okay, like I said, I've gone through different phases in my life. We are not scientists that we will do biopharma research for the next 300 years. It doesn't work like that. We have to evolve. I don't know biopharma. I don't know any of that. I'm just kind of making that up. My point is, I think you just need to be humble enough and flexible enough to make changes, not for the sake of making changes, not because some colleague is making a change, but again, that has to be well thought through. When we are forming Unicus, we are getting an amazing amount of talent coming in, people who've done auditing but have now realized that they want to be in the world of consultancy, right? Or people who have been within the corporate world and now feel that they want to do something more in the consulting world. These are all people who've done some great work but have now reached a phase where they want to think about what the future holds for them. So simple advice would be just make sure it is, you thought through things, and then be humble enough and be flexible enough to kind of just go with the times and make those choices.
It's an amazing answer, Jamil sir, and I think a lot of the people who are watching us, this is where you need to be very careful before going into. And even if you go into, is what Jamil sir is telling, it's perfectly fine, because this is not like you are locked in for. This is not like a mutual fund, right? A
Yeah.
taxable fixed deposit where you are locked in for 5 years. You can always try and test, because
Right.
this is a first job, and see how your experience and do you enjoy that or not, and then take a decision finally. Now,
Yeah.
having said that about enjoyment, this is a consistent trend in corporates that I have found out, or I would not say I found out, then they'll blame me. So I have seen that there are almost above 50% people always are cribbing in the industry. And you mentioned that Rotulu and I don't
Rondu.
remember that name.
Rondu.
Rondo.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
they keep on cribbing for everything. They go in consulting, they crib. They go into audit, they crib. They go into tax, they crib. They're working, they crib. So what is that which made you, because you have selected a very very important point, so to be honest, because this is one a very frequent question. I don't get time to study for CPA CMA because I'm working, and this, so there are thousand excuses many students give on around, and the most important excuse is like they're really struggling in the corporates and they keep on complaining. What is that you would suggest them in order to stop this Rotulu behavior, I would say?
Yeah, yeah. I think you need to take charge of your own destiny, actually. See, there are people who are much less fortunate than we are. Okay. And I'm sure everybody has their hardships. But I always look at it and say there are people who are going through a lot worse than what we are going through, okay, or will ever go through. We have a set of circumstances. We need to play that to the best of our ability. Again, I've said this a lot of times. I feel life is a bit like a game of cards. You are dealt a particular set of cards. Now you got to play your best game with that set of cards. If you keep on cribbing that I don't have two aces, I don't have this, I don't have that, you'll have nothing actually. Everybody has a reason to crib. The question is, how do you take charge of your game and do what you have to? I'll tell you, for the longest time, I used to say, oh, I don't have time to exercise. But the day I decided I will have time and I owe it to myself and my family, I made time. So it's about prioritization. It's about taking charge. And I think it happens. I really feel that the first starting point is stop kind of blaming everybody else or the circumstances. Once you take charge, I think most people are smart enough. Now, in some cases, you might need help once again. Okay. It could be mental pressure that you're not able to kind of deal with. It could be physically you have a bad shape. Feel free to ask for help. Know when you need those interventions. And I think those guides will really help you. Like when I had to um, make sure that I was in the right shape for whatever I had to do. I actually did not hesitate before going to a nutritionist or a doctor and asking them, look, what do I need to change in my lifestyle? And I think, while somebody may say, oh, most of the advice is very common sense. If that gives you a framework to do something, in a better manner, why not? So seek help, apply yourself, and I think the answers will start coming.
I think this is an amazing answer, sir. So I think most of them, it's better that you take charge and do not procrastinate the things, because they have a habit of procrastinating and cribbing, right?
Correct.
So it simply means that you can procrastinate only those things which you don't like. So you
Yeah.
decide that you really like this, and then just be on it and take charge of it,
Yeah.
right? So now coming to Unicus, sir, what is the USP of Unicus to attract the talent, and what are the career opportunities at Unicus?
Yeah. So, oh my God, I could go on, but look, I think we are super excited about what's happening at Unicus. As the basic thesis is there on our LinkedIn pages, we put it out publicly. But I think what we're really trying to create is for this group particularly relevant. We are trying to create an opportunity for people who are qualified as CPAs in India, all chartered accountants, but particularly people who are CPAs or have a reporting degree like an ACCA, give them the platform to serve clients at a global scale, actually. Now, think of it like the IT industry. When an engineer, a strong engineer in Infosys or a Wipro or an Accenture is serving a Walmart or a Citibank, anywhere in the world, they're not worried about national boundaries. But in our industry, unfortunately, we've been constrained by, being in the location in which the client has to be advised. And at Unicus, we believe that if we create a very strong integrated delivery model with an on-site and an offshore delivery, talent pools in places like India will have a great opportunity to serve clients. So Unicus, is providing its talent that opportunity. The reason that does not happen in many consulting firms is because they're all national in their outlook. They're all controlled, and you know this. You've been, in a big four firm earlier, Sripal. Partners in a particular jurisdiction like the US will think for themselves, while partners in India or another jurisdiction may think differently, right? So we've truly created a global organization that gives talent the opportunity to do that. That's the first part. Second part is, we also feel that accounting and cannot really be unidimensional. It can't be just accounting. It's got to merge with technology. So the technology is a big focus area for us. So when we are going and advising our clients, not only are we there to tell them, look, what happens when you do an acquisition, how do you account for business combinations, but as you do that, what is the technology that can enable integrating the finances of the acquired company, acquirer company, and the acquired company, right? So we're investing a lot in technology. The CTO of a very large fintech unicorn is joining us to kind of be a part of the journey. So there's amazing stuff, and our talent therefore gets the opportunity of merging technology and accounting and finance. I mentioned blockchain, new technology. Third thing is very interestingly, we feel that employees after a certain level should actually own the business. They should be owners. Now that is not possible in a traditional consulting setup because it's a partnership, and until you become a partner, you are nobody. We feel that people right from the manager level should have the opportunity to own stock of the company. We are a Delaware company, and we have a very, very interesting stock option pool for our employees, which is kind of which we're seeing some amazing kind of feedback on. And finally, as you know, Shripal, Unicus, in addition to accounting advisory, also focuses on the whole ESG and sustainability and climate action space. My belief is that businesses, where the whole reporting will merge between financial and non-financial. Today, businesses are being measured only based on financial metrics. So be it EPS, be it revenue growth, be it EBITDA margin, profit margin, and then separately we somehow try to manage the sustainability parameters. I think think that will change. Businesses will be measured more holistically. Now, what talent will get an opportunity is while specializing in your individual area. So for this group, let's say being accounting advisory, it gives you a very nice exposure to what's happening on the, what's happening on the sustainability and the climate change side. So that if you as a professional want to evolve into a sustainability professional, you have a path to do that. Some of you may be aware, in the US, the Security and Exchange Commission in the US has come out in March 2022 with a draft rule that would mandate climate-related disclosures. And I keep on highlighting within Unicus, you need as much of accounting and reporting knowledge as you need sustainability and climate knowledge. And that's what talent will get an opportunity if they work for a platform like Unicus. So yeah, I could go on, but it's super fascinating right now in terms of what does it get to, what does it look, we are recruiting, but we have an amazing pipeline of people who are very keen to join us. So we're very sharp in our recruitment process, but if you're a high performer, if you have your heart in the right place, if you want to play for the long run, we would love to have you on board. We will be more than 150 consultants by the end of calendar 2023. So we are recruiting kind of quite aggressively across our businesses. So yeah, that's the way we see it, Shripal.
Now, very important point which has been discussed here is sustainability. I've seen Unicus talking a lot on sustainability, and just in a layman language, Jamil, because there's so much talks on sustainability is the future, and there are a lot of ICI guidance notes which are coming on sustainability. Me as a student have no clue absolutely on this particular area, and they're really not even aware also. Many of them hear that sustainability is the future of our profession. Would you want to give a practical illustration of sustainability just to make them? And then we have a consulting also in sustainability. So there are different types of consulting. We have heard about risk advisory, management advisory, accounting advisory, IT advisory. Now we are talking about sustainability advisory. So this is something, if we can have a bit of more clarity on this thing, Jamil.
Sure. No. So Shripal, I think sustainability consulting is a huge opportunity. And I mean, it may sound a bit ironical, but I'm very practical with these things. So this is a $10 billion market in the United States, sustainability consulting. And we feel that Unicus could have a big kind of play in there. So what does it mean at a very base level? Sorry, before I even go there, I think first of all, I would recommend people should read. Okay, there's no excuse for saying I don't know what sustainability. I mean, you're living in a rabbit hole if you basically are not spending time reading about this, right? So I think you should read. There's a lot of very good material available out there on the Unicus site itself. There's material. We'll make more material available. But at a very broad level, sustainability is about, even as you look at providing returns to your shareholders, which is one of the aspects of a corporate, how do you not only look at that as your game? How do you make sure you're thinking about the broader set of contribution you can make to a variety of factors? So for example, how do you make sure that you do the right for the environment? Because climate is a very important factor. If every company just starts toiling the world the way we are doing today, maybe there will be no world. Now, one way of looking at it, look, it's not my responsibility, but then it is nobody's responsibility. Either you wait for regulation to come in and tell you what you can or can't do, or you act like a responsible company by thinking about the environment and climate and what your business is doing for that. Now, that doesn't mean you have to close business. All that means is, in some cases, that might be the answer, but in most cases, it is about finding the right way to do business, right? Are there newer technologies you can adopt? And, just an example, our view is, and not just our view, but basically it's acknowledged that many of the traditional industries, we saw this in auto, right? How we moved from a traditional auto to the whole EV movement. We saw that in power, how we moved from coal-based power to renewables. The same thing could potentially happen in many other industries. The way we manufacture cement today may be very different to the way we manufacture cement 5-7 years out, or steel, or whatever that might be, right? So one is about embracing and figuring out by a company, how can it have better practices across manufacturing, distribution, its operations, so that it cares about the environment. The second bit is the social part. Now, social, where we've got to today, is most people think of social as gender diversity. What can you do for people, for upliftment of people from a weaker economic thing. Of course, those are all very important, but it's also about how do we make sure employees get a fair share of the value that's being created within a company. Employee well-being, employee mental kind of health, etc. Doing right for people, creating the right work environment, right? So that's the social part, and then the governance part, which we are more familiar with, around making sure that you are well governed, you have the right kind of systems of policies, practices of doing what is right. Within that, many subtle areas. So, for example, tax morality is a very big issue, right? There was a time where, so there are three stages, right? One is basically do something illegal to kind of save taxes, which we know kind of is things could have been done in the past. Second basically was about just structuring things so you optimize tax, right? But now equally people are thinking about, look, are we too aggressive in that? And will we set out a wrong picture for our reputation of our company if all we are doing is saving taxes and not thinking about the contributing to this? Because other way will governments get their money if everybody's kind of doing offshore and kind of trying to do stuff, right? So I think the point really on ESG or sustainability is, even as you do business, how do you really embed it within the broader agenda as compared to just doing it for maximization of profit. Just one final comment I'll kind of make is, think of sustainability as the way we saw digital 15 years ago. 10, 15 years ago, and even till 7, 8, 10 years ago, digital was something separate from business. That's not the way this is going to be. Today, digital exists in everything we do. The way we interact with customer, the way we do learning, right? The way we're doing this session, the way we organize our lives is all digital. The way we distribute our products, the way we engage with our suppliers. The same thing potentially will happen in the world of sustainability, where it gets embedded. So it's a long-winded answer, but honestly, there's just so much to do. And then there are various subsets of this. There are new technologies in sustainability, there's sustainable finance, there's sustainable reporting, and all of that stuff. So yeah, a long, interesting journey.
I mean, this is an outstanding subject to be speaking on, Jamil sir. But with the limitation of time, I think students on sustainability reporting, on sustainability finance, I think today's homework will be more on sustainability, because this is the thing which is trending now, and which possibly, or majority would say, is that is the future of our finance as well. Apart
Yeah.
from the technology revolution which is happening. Now, Jamil sir, the tier one talent is becoming very costly, as you see in various locations. Is there any plans of Unicus coming to tier two cities? Because there are a lot of students who are not from Hyderabad, Bangalore, Mumbai, and Delhi, and all those stuff.
Yeah.
So, are we also trying to hire the talent from tier two cities, or are we restricted to only to the tier one location?
No, we are quite flexible, Sripal. So I think we are building a core in the 6 offices that we are kind of opening. So we're opening Bombay, Gurgaon, Bangalore, Dubai, the east coast of the United States, and the west coast of the United States. And most of our offices are on track. And for example, Bombay will be operational by March. So will be Gurgaon. But what we are not, we want a core here, but we are very open to talent, the right talent being anywhere that they are, and actually working with us. The only thing I'll actually highlight to the group, okay, is that there is amazing benefit of teamwork if you are in a place where you get the opportunity to work with your colleagues. Now, but that's not true for every level, right? So at some levels it may be okay, at some levels it's not okay. And Shripal, the answer, the very kind of brutal answer is, while we are okay with kind of having that as an entry point and letting people, I think ultimately we may want to consolidate kind of people to come together. But right now we are quite open to people working from. And also the reason is because even today, a lot of our clients are still kind of working remotely, particularly in the United States. If you really see the West Coast of the United States, a friend of mine, he's the chief accounting officer of a cyber product company. And he was telling me they've got this really amazing building, beautiful building. The only person who comes is the CEO, the CFO, the chief accounting officer, and maybe 2 other people. So talent wants mobility. We are quite flexible with that right now, and we'll see where it lands.
Great, sir. Uh, One important thing which these days a lot of institute play around, right, is that you do CPA, go to US. Now, what do you think is an international exposure going to overseas location than in India? Does it really make an impact, sir? I just wanted to understand your thought process, because a lot of students contact me because they see other institutes do CPA, go to US, but we normally don't advertise like that, because then every person in India will do CPA and go to US.
Yeah.
So which is technically not possible. But seeing the broader context, because we have seen in Big Fours also, after a certain period of time, we have a secondment and all, and same might be at Unicus also, where they
Correct.
might be getting that exposure tomorrow in the secondment and also on the overseas assignments as such. But do you think this is a very, very important part of growing to the partner level or to the leadership level? How do you rate international exposure, the culture, and the opportunities? And do you think that students should immediately pitch in for that? Because there is a lot of impatience in today's generation, right? So you the 28 of age, I think everyone in today's generation want to become a partner at the age of 28. I can straight away tell that. So how do you see that as a factor, sir? Now they want to move abroad and all. How do you rate that as a factor?
Yeah. So I think first of all, I am a huge fan of impatience. Actually, I think you should be impatient. But in a positive way. Okay, there is a difference between being impatient and being restless. Um, if you're restless, you're not at peace. If you're impatient, you're doing something with a purpose, right? So I think it's important to be impatient and be fast. I think in terms of overseas exposure, I'll break this into two parts. One is the functional exposure, and second is the cultural exposure, right? I think as far as functional exposure is concerned, I think platforms like Unicus were actually created in part because we believe talent pools, like I mentioned earlier. So if you ask an Infosys engineer, okay, that are they getting international exposure? Of course, they're getting international exposure. And so for Unicus, right, the US will be our biggest market in 3 years, 5 years out. The US will be 80% of our revenues, and this is a build from here. So everybody who joined Unicus equally has an opportunity of working not just on clients in India, but clients in the UAE and clients in the United States, which are our chosen markets. That's the point on the functional experience. And again, mind you, this is not the experience of a back office, right? So this is not about somebody reporting to somebody who's then working with a client. We want our talent out here to work directly with clients in the United States. Okay, that's the difference in our model. So that and that's amazingly important. See, when you work with to your question on how important is that experience, super important. Because if you work only with Indian companies, of course you learn a lot. Okay, and in fact you learn a lot from Indian clients. Let me tell you, I've served Indian clients. They are the most demanding clients in the whole world. So my philosophy, it's not rocket science, is, if you can satisfy an Indian client and build for the Indian client, you can actually be very successful globally as well. So great experience. But equally, there's a lot to learn from, let's say, American clients. The way they do project management, the way they do time management, the respect for professionalism that they have, brevity in terms of what they do. I sometimes say, in India, people don't know full stops, so we don't know when to stop. So you learn a lot from international clients functionally. So very important. The second element, somewhere in your career and in your life, actually, why just a career? I think it's very important to culturally be exposed to different cultures, right? Whether it is across India as well, where there are different cultures. So I have always encouraged, when I lived in Bangalore, I loved Bangalore. When I lived in London, I loved London, because there's just so much to soak in. So that also is something that I think is very important to a growth as a professional, and as a person. And to your point, I mean, Unicus will give that opportunity for its high performing people to work across borders over time, not just remotely, but also in person. But very important, very, very important.
And just to clarify, students, he didn't meant to say that after doing CPA you can go to the US, because you
Yeah,
need to prove yourself in India first.
correct.
Prove to the demanding clients of India how you, so Bharat mein kaam kariye 2 saal and then try to see.
Exactly. And Shripal, sorry, and just one more in India, working on Indian clients and working on global clients at the same time. That's the point I was trying to highlight. But I agree with you that enough and more to learn in India. India is in an amazing place right now. So no, totally agree with you.
So Jamil sir, now one very important question is the skill set. So your career is a multiplication of three things. Right? So one is exposure, one is qualification, third is skills. So I've covered the exposure, I've covered the qualifications because you're already qualified. So the third thing is the skill sets. Now, what do you think the skills today's students should have when you're hiring at Unicus? What are those skills they should have? So is it MS Excel or is it Power BI or all those stuff or the reporting? So what are the skill sets you look for soft skills and other skills? What is that?
Yeah. So two, three things. First thing is I would say in my mind, attitude is also a skill. How to have the right attitude, no qualification will show you. You have to have this positive attitude. So some of it will be repetition from what I said earlier, and some of it I'll build on. So a positive attitude, a learning attitude, willing to do things in a different way, willing to soak in different things. Third is, I think you made a good point on soft skills. I think very underrated. So let me kind of just say the way I've seen this. If you only are a good communicator and have no content, it is very, very likely you will be called out very, very quickly. And people will know as you move up that you are a bullshitter effectively. Okay. Now, some people can get away with bullshit for a very long period of time, but they're still bullshitters. Okay. I have no respect for those people. Don't be one of them. But I think if you can get the balance between content and communication, because sometimes you people have their content right, but they're just not able to communicate it in a precise manner. Very important to get the content right. I saw you type story building, very important. Everybody remembers stories, and I love telling stories. Actually, everything I do, I tell stories. So I just love this. So very important. And I think the final element I'll add is technology. Now, technology doesn't necessarily mean functional technology skills, but technology means an interest in technology, and in interest in merging technology with the domain work that you're doing. Remember, Unicus is a consult tech company. We very deliberately chose and defined ourselves as a consult tech company. So just like you have fintechs, you have health techs, you have ed techs, we believe that we are creating a consult tech industry, which means where consulting and technology comes together. So I would say attitude, learning, communication skills, and a nuance and an understanding of technology, is this thing. Our values, basically, we've defined our values again in a similar manner to make sure, and they're all on our website. So please do kind of look it up. But yeah, that's the way, Sripal, I would define.
And I mean, this is a fantastic point, right? So you need not know technology, or you might not be expert in technology, but you at least have interest in learning technology. I think that is one way of
Correct.
kind of actually embracing the technology. So this is a amazing part. So students who are watching us out, so you have to think ways how to automate the things. I think that is where that is the attitude, or that is a skill in every work what you do. How can you use technology to kind of reduce that or make
Right.
it more easier, and you can save that time and use another assignment as such. uh, Really amazing, Jamil. So these are some what do you say, these cannot be measured in terms of
Thank you.
money also. This session, to be honest, I don't know about others, at least from my side, I'm learning a lot from this session. It's
Thank you.
47 minutes and I'm not even seen like that 47 minutes are passed by, and that's how beautiful this session is going on.
Thank
So
you.
one very important question is age. There are a lot of people, they think that they're 40, 41, will they get a job, or what is age like at Unicus? So do you guys, I mean, see that, okay, he is 37, 38, so we cannot hire him and all. So does age also plays a crucial factor, Jamil sir, at our firm as well?
Yeah, no, actually, I have always believed that age is something effectively. I have seen, I was yesterday with a person I will not name, who's 77, and he has an option to sell his business for $20 million to somebody. And he says, why would I do it? He says, what will I do? And now 99% of people would say, if you make 20 million bucks at 77, and it's not an easy business, a tough business, a lot to be done. And so that's the energy. You look at people like Mr. Deepak Parekh, right? Unbelievable energy, and there are enough many friends. So I personally think, age is not really relevant at all. Whether you're too young or too old is not relevant. What is really relevant, it all boils down to, are you willing to apply yourself to the task at hand, and what are you going to do kind of out there. So we are very, very comfortable. I'll tell you this very funny story. When I was kind of setting up Unicus after 27 years at KPMG, I went to meet this founder of this very, very, successful ed tech company of, somebody I really respect. And I told them, they agreed with everything I had to say. And at one stage I said, if I don't do it now, I will perhaps, and if I wait for another 5 years to do another big corporate stint and do it, maybe I'll be too old to do it. And I would have been 52 at that stage 5 years later. And this person said, listen, do you know what age I started this company? They started this company at 64, right? And it's a unicorn many times over. So, and in a new industry which they'd not dabbled in earlier. So honestly, don't care. I really don't care about age. But what I think is important is for those of people that you said who may have reached a particular age and they'll have to work with younger peers. They will have to work with younger teams. It's very important that you are willing to do that, because sometimes it's not the organization, it is your own ability actually to come and fit in. The organization can create the environment, but it's equally about you feeling in, kind of doing your part to be included. So yeah, that's the way we see this.
So I think a more inclusive culture from the seniors will make the organization comfortable in hiring
Right.
you all. So I think these are the people who do 37 at the age of 38 start CPA
Yeah.
or CFA or a CMA or an ACCA. So they just had those doubts that do we get those opportunities or not?
Yeah.
And I think this answer kind of clarifies a lot of things. So now I'll open up to the people here who are
Sure.
there as attendees. Please raise your hands. We can unmute you all. So
Yeah.
if you want to ask any questions to Jamil sir, please raise your hand. So we have Arun Subramaniam, host. Can we enable Arun there? Others who all have their questions, please raise your hands or use Q&A, and I can pick it up from Q&A as well. Arun, please go ahead.
Yeah, good evening, good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
Sir, I wanted to ask that in your initial days, how did you develop the interest for accounts, audit, and tax?
How did I develop an interest in? Look, I think it's about first of all, you need to. I go back to the point on enjoying. What do you enjoy doing? I actually found that the old accounting standards in India, honestly, they were not challenging enough at that time. If some of you may remember, well, there were 15 standards. We all stopped at AS 15. We didn't know what happened after that. And therefore, I found when I got exposed to, in this example, US GAAP, I really found that very challenging. I found so much to learn, so many different complexity that had come in, and that's how you develop interest. And then then you read on top of that, right? Now, not everything that you read or start doing you enjoy, but you have to experiment, you have to try, and that's how you develop interest. And then you do it over a period of time, right? So yeah, that would be my answer.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
So Shipra has a question, Shipra Tripathi. Sir, how do you know what you're doing is right? And if it is going right, despite facing multiple failures, especially appearing for exams?
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's a good question. I think first of all, you need to have a sense of self-realization. I find there's just so many people, not just as students, but as very, very senior leaders who have no self-awareness. I find self-awareness is also a very important attribute. I used to do these performance appraisals with a lot of people, and when I would highlight to them what I felt, the issue was not that they would resist. The issue is they wouldn't believe those are issues at all, and that's a clear lack of self-awareness. So I think it's first of all, whenever you're doing something, it's just important to have a reality check that you're not in your own world, but effectively you are really taking feedback from others, in whichever way at different points in time, and you're self-aware on what could be or maybe going right, not going right. I think on exams, I think it's a difficult one. I'll tell you, I have seen super successful, intelligent people, really struggle sometimes with passing exams. My only advice would be that resilience has to come from within. You need to effectively tell yourself and believe in yourself that you'll be able to do it. And I know some of the people who struggled on the exams have gone on to become the best kind of auditors, consultants, or whatever future on in life, right? So I think, look, there's a fair bit of luck. We don't attribute enough to luck. I'm a big believer in luck as well, but at the same time, all you can do is be resilient. Don't get bogged down. Just kind of just marching ahead, and the right thing will happen.
Okay, so this is a very, very good question, what is coming. And I wanted to ask this. Hi, Jamil sir. Thank you for a very effective session. I have a very basic question. How are you so calm while communicating? Like whenever we have things to talk about, we get so excited about it. So is excitement bad?
It's a very good question. So first of all, communication comes over time. I actually used to always love communication. I'm a person who loves to talk, loves to meet people. I just enjoy it. And then you develop your own style over time. I am. One thing is I actually seldom get excited, whether good or bad. So you will never see me when we closed our funding round, and in actually a record 3 days, my team was super excited, and rightfully, and I should have been as well. Everybody told me, okay. But to me it was great. Of course I was very happy, but I don't get excited too easily. Now I'm not saying that's right or wrong, but equally what that does, it makes sure that I don't have the negative excitement as well. Sometimes I find people get super excited about things where the problem is not that big, because if people get really bogged down by the problem, egos come in, emotions kind of come in, very natural, very human. So I'm not saying become a robot, become kind of, everybody has to be with me. Find your own outlet, your own way of how you can manage the situation, because sometimes, and many a time, excitement does not solve anything actually. Okay, excitement only aggravates the challenge you will have in solving the problem at a future date. So just kind of look at it, and it'll be pretty cool.
So we have Aparna Devala who have raised hand. Host, can we just unmute Aparna there? Aparna, please go ahead.
Hello, sir. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Go ahead.
Okay. First of all, amazing session. Excellent. I'm so inspired by what you said, that it doesn't everything that I believe in as a person and as a professional. Very funny dialogue that I was facing. Once you complete my CPA, I'm just on the way there. Do you think, not just for anybody, do you think it's more before?
So Aparna, we are not able to hear you properly.
Yeah. You said after you clear your CPA, I couldn't hear what you said, Aparna.
After, now can you hear me, sir?
Yeah, go ahead, please. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. So after you complete CPA, is it advisable for a person to come work with a big force, because they do get opportunities there, or choose a smaller firm? See, just to give a little bit of a context there, there's a lot of work coming from US to India. A lot of outsourcing is happening. So like a small firm which has got not even a 5 crore turnover, they are willing to recruit people and they are getting a lot of work from US. You think a person working in a smaller firm would get more exposure because that's what they are offering? They're saying that you can work in accounting, taxation, accounting, and auditing, or should they go as one cog in the wheel in a bigger firm?
Yeah, good question. Yeah.
That dilemma for me. Yeah.
Sure.
Sir.
Yeah, no, thank you, Aparna. Okay, so look, there is no right answer, and both have their advantages and disadvantages. I'll tell you what I gain from working from a large organization. Okay, what I gain really is the exposure, the kind of clients you work with, the kind of people you deal with, right? The intellect of people you deal with, it kind of really raises your bar. So those are the positives. The structure comes in, and there's a lot of positives around that as well. The negative, as you said, is that in a large organization you are perhaps a cog in the wheel, while in another organization you get the exposure to do a lot many things. Now you got to see where the pros and cons of different things, and always remember these are not irreversible decisions. Okay, so you may start off in a smaller setup and then move to a larger setup. I know enough people who worked in a larger setup and tried to do something in a smaller setup. So just be clear about why you're going, what the pros and cons actually are, and then take your decision. The only thing I would say in a smaller organization sometimes that happens is that you become so much of a generalist that you're not known for anything actually, and then you become a generalist throughout your life. So one thing I think the world will require is it will require a lot more deeper specialization over time. So yeah, do look at the pros and cons. Both have their pluses and benefits. I wouldn't knock off any of them. And yeah, I wish you the best on that.
Thank you so much, sir. That was
Thank
excellent clarification.
Thank you, Aparna.
So Jamil, just about Aparna, she completed 3 sections and is left out with final section of CPA. Started CPA after 18 years. How's it, Aparna, if I'm not wrong?
No. I started studying after 30 years because right now I'm 50 plus. I wanted to gift CPA to myself as a 50th year gift.
Wish you all the
But
best. All the best.
yeah,
No, you'll
thank you,
get
sir.
you'll get there. God bless. Wish you all the best. I'm mindful of time, so Shripal, are there any final questions we can take those?
Yes. I'll just take up two more questions, Jamil.
Sure.
So how to deal with people at workplace who try to put you down whenever we are trying to make a point or aiming for something high? I think this is more on people management. And this
Yeah.
is something where everyone want to kind of talk, but they are like kind of people don't give them that opportunity. So what do you think, Jamil?
This is a huge problem in workplaces where there are some bullies. There are some bullies who are known bullies. There are some bullies who are unknown bullies. There are some people who just love to talk so much that they don't allow anybody else to talk. I think this is so two pieces of advice. First of all, good leaders first of all recognize that very well, and good leaders therefore create opportunity for people to speak up. Now that does not mean that they have to agree with everything. For example, when I conduct my meetings, I actually look for the person who has spoken the least, and I do ask them what do they feel, etc. And I actually make it a point that people don't, unless the point is really, really silly and not relevant. I really let people kind of make their point. Now, if you are in an organization or a setup where you have a point and consistently you're not getting an opportunity, I think the least you should do is you should highlight this to somebody, right, who's relevant, who you have trust with, and say, listen, I am not feeling that I can contribute. I would like to contribute. And then take their advice, whether they would like to seek your inputs in private, whether there's a way, but don't give up. And actually, it's not bad for you. Honestly, it is very bad. It's very bad for the organization. I kind of say that the worst organizations are the one where everybody has given up, actually. Okay, everybody has given up and nobody cares a damn. So yeah, it's a bit of a difficult one, but you should keep trying. Don't give up on that, please. Okay, one final question
One
before we
final
close.
question, and that will be from my side. Sorry, students, because I also need to ask. So my question, Jamil sir, is what time you wake up? How is your daily routine? And what books will you recommend for the students on US GAAP, IFRS, and other consulting places? So
Yeah.
this is my
I,
question.
I love the way he kind of put in three questions into one and called it one question, right? So yeah, that's the mark of a good compere. Okay, so what's my daily routine? Actually, I'm very particular about my routine. So generally I wake up at around 7 in the morning. I'm at work by 8:30. I don't know how, but I always manage to live very close to where I kind of work. So commute has never been a problem for me, but that means nothing. I work actually quite hard. So most days for me, kind of go on till late in the evening now, particularly with the US. I'm very diligent about my weekends. I don't eat into my weekends unless there is a crisis or something that I need to do. I walk very regularly. And it's at crazy hours. So I walk between 10 o'clock in the night to midnight. Somewhere you'll find me walking. I love walking with my music. So I do a lot of that. I read a lot. In terms of reading, look, so there are two parts of reading. I think on functional reading, there's enough on the net. So please look it up. You'll find stuff on the Unicus site as well over time. A lot of interesting stuff going on there. But what I like to read to open up my mind is actually topics which are not related to management, not related to my kind of functional stuff. For example, one of my really really favorite book is a book called Singularity. It's written by a guy called Ray Kurzweil. Kurzweil effectively, he talks about the merging of humans with technology. It's an unbelievable book. For those of you interested in Bitcoin and the things happening in the world of crypto, do read Saifuddin Ammous and the Bitcoin Standard. And there are a bunch of kind of really book. But open up your mind, pick up an area that interests you, and build on that. Sorry, again, Shripal, I'm mindful of time, and if there's nothing else, maybe we can bring this to a close.
Sure, Jamil sir. I know that we actually said around 30 to 35 minutes, but this went to 1 hour, and 1 hour in a consultant is a very, very big, precious 1 hour. Thank you so much. Outstanding session, amazing session for everyone who were watching us on YouTube. And already there are tons of messages coming on my mobile and all those stuff.
fantastic.
Fantastic session, sir. Thank you so much. When I'm
No,
in Mumbai, definitely would like to meet you up, sir, for sure.
No, absolutely.
Thank you so much. Thank
And
you,
thank,
everyone, for engaging.
No, thank you, and thank my thanks to Team Simandhar for organizing this. Sripal, love the enthusiasm and energy. My best wishes to all the students. I think really, I think it's an amazing profession. The CPA Chartered Accountancy combination. Go for it, do well, and I think that there's just so much opportunity for finance function people today. So my best wishes, and keep learning, keep growing. God bless. Take care. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank
Bye.
you, everyone. Thank you, everyone.